Your lie in April. Um, what is the lie, right? That's the mystery. That was the most intriguing part about the anime. I knew when I was going into it, it was going to be very sad, and it was a drama, but it was also a a romantic drama. So I was like, all right, I'm intrigued. I'll watch it. It's the series written and illustrated by Naoshi Arakawa. It's published into 11 volumes by Kodansha, and I believe the anime's about 21 or 22 episodes. You can correct me. Um, and you don't find out what the lie is until the very end. So, and that's the part that is the most intriguing part, and it's the part that really wanted me to keep on watching. Other than that, it was a very good story. The pacing, at times, felt like it was dragging along. I felt like it could have been condensed a little shorter. There's some things that they could have cut off. I know the purists would want every source, in terms of source material, to be adapted fully and completed into the entire source material. But there are sometimes some things, especially when you're using it in a different format, in a different medium, where I believe at least, it doesn't have to follow the source material to a T. And this is one of them where I think it didn't have to, based off the fact that um, the visuals and the music pretty much extend the overall enjoyment. Where there are certain things that you can cut off or just get to the point faster, right? That being said, I would think that if you would watch this now, I never read the manga. I didn't read all 11 volumes, but I would like to assume that the format of watching it in an anime form, visually, is more appealing, and it seems more enjoyable because of it being very much tied to music. That being said, I'm sure if you read it with as a manga, it's probably just as enjoyable because the story, the characters are great in terms of the story what's being told. It's more than just an anime about music, right? It's a it's a romance and there's sadness involved, and so you don't really need to watch it. You don't really need to read it only, but you don't need to watch it only, if that makes any sense. But I do recommend that you watch it in anime. The visuals are just much better. It goes with the music. The opening is amazing. The first opening, great song. Now the story is about a boy named Kosai Arima, who hasn't played the piano in a while because of childhood trauma caused by his mother who passed away when he was younger. The death of his mother caused him to have a breakdown and he couldn't hear the music anymore. Many years later, he meets a girl named Kaori Miyazano, who becomes infatuated with, and then he finds to love her, right? He has a best friend named Subaki Sawabi, who's the one who introduced this girl to Arima's male best friend, Ryota Watari, who's quite the ladies' man and good at sports, in particular soccer. Subaki is his female best friend again, and she also likes Arima. Or she'll find out that she does like him, because at the very beginning you'll see that, and it's a trope, so there's like a love triangle, but that's not the main focus of the anime, so that's really good. So I'm assuming it's not the main focus of the manga as well, which is great, right? Because it's one of those tropes that they use so much and so often in all mediums, right? Anime, manga, novels, TV shows, movies, and it can be done well, but it could also be something where they focus on it too much and it kind of just takes away from the story that they're trying to say or trying to tell you, and that's very much so here. Even though Subaki is the third wheel, if she is the third wheel, she's not really the main focus, or at least that love triangle is not really the main focus. It's something that she has to learn to deal with, because she at first she portrays that no, me and Arima we're just best friends. I see him as a kid brother, who has to be around and stuff like that. But everybody around them understands that he's not just your best friend. You like him more than that. And but of course these are just kids in middle school. I think they're not even in high school yet. They're about to get into high school, but they're just finishing up middle school. So things can change. People grow up. So I think that's one of the problems when you have like animes like this. They always concentrate on such a younger age in terms of like middle school and high school. I don't know. That's just the way they do things when it comes to like these type of mangas and animes. But whatever. That's gonna be like one of my gripes. But this anime kind of reminded me of the movies Sweet November, and with Keanu Reeves and I forgot the other girl's name. I forgot her name. Charlize Theron, and A Walk to Remember with I don't know that guy's name, but the female lead is a Mandy Moore. So this anime reminds me of those two movies, A Walk to Remember and Sweet November. And if you have seen those movies, that's pretty much going to lead into what I'm kind of trying to imply with this anime. And that's the sad part, and that's the spoiler. So spoiler warning, spoiler alert, here it comes. At the end, Kosai Arima finds out that this girl will die, or she's going to pass away. She has like some type of disease. They never imply or indicate what disease she has. We know that she has something wrong with her body. It could be like a bone marrow issue, blood issue. She seems to pass out, and her limbs are getting weaker. And so, like, her body is failing her. Sad. Sucks, especially when you're so young. So that's something now that Arima has to learn to cope and deal with. Because it could go in two different ways. It could go back to him moping and going back to that dark place that he went to when his mother passed away. Or he could learn to persevere from that and move forward, and see it as a moment for him to grow as a person, and make her happy in the sense that it's what she wanted. She wouldn't want you to be sad. She wants you to live life, because when she found out she was about to die, or she did not have long to live, that's basically when Miyazano decides that she's gonna live life to the fullest and make every moment count. And I think that's why she's so quirky, and she plays the violin the way she does. And then this is the part where she made up the lie. This is the lie you find out in the final episode, I believe, or the second to last episode. You find out that she is has been, or the entire time she has been in love with Arima, because she saw him play when she was a little girl, and then that moment stuck in her mind forever. Because in this anime, it's very much implied that people play music, and it's not just because you play every note perfectly, but there's a nuance to playing. Can you reach people with your music? And that really makes the transition of an expert musician to just a musician, right? A musician can play the piece to a T, but then there's the expert who plays it with a nuance to it, because they put their own emotions into it, and that elevates the piece even more. It's not about just playing it the way Beethoven, Bach, or these composers intended it to be played, but also that you might give it your own little spin. And and that's always going to be like, the purists will say that it's not good, gatekeepers, and then there's the ones that he's interpreting the piece his way, which is also great. To each their own, but that's not the whole point. The whole point is that Kaori Miyazano, she saw Arima play when she was 5, and ever since then she's been in love with him. And when she found out that they were going to the same middle school, she saw him around in the hallways and in class, around with Tsubaki and Watari, but she would never approach him for fear of like not knowing him. She thought it was just rude. She also knew, like most people did, that Tsubaki had something for him, so she didn't want to like step on her toes. But I guess at the last moment where she decides, screw it, why not? I'm about to die. Who cares, right? But even still, she doesn't do it to hurt his feelings, because she approaches Tsubaki for Tsubaki to introduce her to Watari, but her real motivation was that through Watari, she was gonna get to know Arima, right? She she never wanted to really get involved with Watari. You know, she liked him and she thought he was a good person, but you know, in a deeper level, she felt like she was she could connect with Arima better, emotionally, probably more than what she could with Watari, right? Watari is just a pretty face. He's the ladies' man. Simple as that. But I think Watari does fall for Kosei. I mean, not Kosei, for Kaori. But I think he knows, because he even tells Arima, like, you know, anybody has a chance. You know, it's if you're interested, go for it. You know, so I think even he himself knows that she never really was interested in him. That she was always interested more in Arima. Because you kind of see that with Tsubaki. She tries to get like another dude who's like at a higher level, right? So I guess he would be like a freshman while she's just an 8th grader. Upperclassman. She's with an upperclassman, and you see that all she does is talk about Kosei Arima all the time to him. And basically he breaks up with her, and she understands why, because, you know, she's still infatuated or in love with Kosei. And so it's kind of the same with Watari, which is why I think you'll see him throughout the anime. And some people will be like, oh my god, why is Watari doing that? He's such a womanizer, a player, you know? But that's because Watari knows that he's not really with Kaori. You know, Kaori is not really with Watari. They're not really together, you know. They might have tried, but really he probably figured out right away, because he is the ladies' man, that she didn't like him, you know. She really liked probably Kosei, or she had more in common with Kosei than he and her did, which is what Tsubaki deals with the entire time. Not understanding music, kind of hating music also, but she can't hate music because she has to understand that if she hates music, then she doesn't like Kosei, because the whole thing with Kosei has to understand that music is his life, and if music's not in his life, then it's going to be a very sad life for Kosei, you know. And then that's Kosei finally realizes all that, which is great. You know, he comes to the realization that, you know, he starts to hear the music again. He starts to play it. He teaches some other girl how to play and enjoy music, and it evolves from there. And again, at the end, you finally see what the lie was about, which is, I think, the most intriguing part. You know, when she finally does reveal, and this is after she passes away, she reveals to him in a letter that she loved him, and, you know, she tells him, I heard you play when you were 5, and I saw you around in school, and I liked you, and I fabricated the whole thing with Watari. I never really liked him. He was just a stepping stone to get to you, or get closer to you, so I can meet you and get to know you, which makes a lot of sense. Which is why she got so mad every single time Kosei would get distant and not visit her, and you know, and it's sad too, because Kosei, if he had known this sooner, which is why I think like it makes kind of sense, because this is probably how like middle schoolers would react, you know, or like when you're younger, adolescents, and you would act this way, you know, not be sure, right? And you'll be more reserved because you fear rejection at that point. You know, you're more vulnerable to it. But yeah, this movie really reminds me of Sweet November and A Walk to Remember. If you ever seen those movies, then I think this movie will be, or this anime series will be something that I could recommend to you. And if you can just enjoy it for what it is in the medium of an anime, you'll like it a lot. Things that I didn't like. I'm gonna say I didn't like the main protagonist, and the reason why is because I cannot relate to him, and that's no fault to the anime, the writer, or the character himself. It's only because I've never dealt with such grief in terms of losing somebody that was close to me, or losing somebody that I loved, and so that made it harder for me to relate to. But if somebody watching it can relate to it, I think it would be that more impactful to them. I could appreciate the story for what it is, and I can watch it, and I know it's sad, and it did make me sad, right? Sad in a good way, but it's not something that I can relate to, because I've never lost somebody, and for that reason, why the character, when he would mope around or doubt himself, especially when he's doubting himself that he has no chance with the girl that he loves, those parts annoyed me. But again, it has to do with the fact that he's an adolescent and I'm more of an adult at this point. I would say if my mind frame was at that time, at that age, maybe I would have thought differently, or it could have been more relatable to me at that time. But other than that, there's not too much I disliked. Other than that, what I loved is the music. It was just amazing. The first opening to the song, the first OP is really good. That's about it. Yeah, I think if you haven't seen Your Lie in April, give it a shot. I think it's something that you would appreciate, and most people would fall in love with right away. Bye.